Hey guys, coming with another movie for you guys, and this movie reviewing, this isn't technically a movie review, it's more a TV review, which I believe this is actually on right now. There's a new movie, of course, as you guys know, premiering on Stars tonight, and it came out on BBC, like, October of last year, so I've had since then to watch it, because it's been on Solar Movie and everything, that site I use to watch movies on, I've talked about so many times, but, it's been on there. I figured, you know what, Roots is on tonight. I really want to watch Roots, and in order for me to watch Roots, I need to watch this first, and that's exactly what I decided to do. I decided I would watch that, and that movie is none other than The Dresser. I knew nothing about this going into it. I knew really nothing except what the trailer told me, which wasn't really a lot. I mean, the trailer did kind of tell me what it was about, kind of didn't. But what I did know is that Ian McKellen and Anthony Hopkins were both in a movie together, and that alone made me interested, and that this was a movie on Stars, and that it apparently is based on some sort of a stage play, but I didn't really know much more else than that. Honestly, I didn't know, and I also knew it was about putting on a show and everything, so I really didn't know too much else about it other than that, and I'm very happy I didn't know really anything going into it, because not only is The Dresser really satisfying and a really great movie, I really did love The Dresser overall. It's also a very sad, melancholy story that, honestly, I recommend you guys all check out, and I'm very happy that I definitely did check out. Now, if you guys don't know, The Dresser is actually based off of a play, I believe, from, like, 1983. There was a film version in the 80s, basically. Albert Finney from Annie was in it, but basically, the plot of The Dresser is really interesting. I really do love the plot of this movie, because basically we focus on two guys. We have Norman and we have Sir. Now, Sir basically is this very talented actor who has been performing in King Lear for basically almost all of his adult life. That has been his main thing. He has done over 227 performances, and his dresser is none other than Norman, and Norman can tell that Sir is not in the best condition, but Sir still wants to do one last performance as King Lear, which he knows is going to be one of his last performances, and basically, it is Norman struggling to help out Sir, Sir basically putting on King Lear, can he do it for one last time, how his memory's kind of fading, and things like that, and also the bonding between these two men, that basically is the plot of The Dresser, and there's so much more in the movie than just that. Really, I'll get into some of the things I really do love about this movie, because there are some really great things here, but by far, I think the thing that makes the movie the most is the cast. Now, anyone can tell you that Ian McKellen and Anthony Hopkins are both very talented actors, and yeah, I mean, that was the main thing that obviously drew me into this, but mainly the one thing that I was very impressed by the most was Ian McKellen's performance. Now, Anthony Hopkins is very true, we'll get into him a little bit later, but Ian McKellen specifically, he's playing a much different kind of role here. This is not at all a Gandalf kind of role or something that commands a lot. In fact, Norman is such a different character. This guy is really nervous, he's really, very hypermental, and is also very used to Sir, in the sense that anytime Sir yells at him to do something, he will do it. And the way that Norman's kind of like a slave to Sir is very interesting, and also the way that Norman basically, deeply defends Sir, even when you can tell a lot of what he's doing, he can definitely tell how degrading Sir's presence is. Norman is used to it. He's worked for this guy forever. You can definitely tell this bond that they have, and I think Ian McKellen did a really great job playing just a very different character. I really did love seeing this character because, like I said, it's very different, and the movie really does focus on him, but it focuses on Sir just as much, but Norman in general, I think, is the most interesting character in the movie because it's such a different role for Ian McKellen, but he really did a great job playing this sort of, like, awkward, eccentric type of dresser who clearly doesn't say no to anything, and, has worked with this guy forever, and I think he did a fantastic job because of that, and definitely was one of the highlights of the film. But Anthony Hopkins, I think, was just as great. For me, Norman and Sir, they're both very difficult roles, but Sir is definitely the harder role, because Sir is a role that a lot of people won't like. I mean, this is a character that really isn't a good guy. I mean, this is a guy that's very addicted to performing, that's clearly all he cares about, and he doesn't treat anyone really with respect. He's constantly yelling at Norman, he's constantly complaining about the littlest things, he's, if Norman reminds him of something, he's like, no, 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 I know what I'm doing, and he treats himself like he's the best thing ever. He really does. This is not a nice guy at all. The thing is, though, Norman is so used to this, as is everyone else, that they really don't really say anything to him because they're so used to him acting this way. And I mean, this guy is about as savage and, rude as actors really get. I mean, he has this whole monologue about actors and what they do, and it's really, really, just really a very selfish way to look at it, and definitely there really is no mercy in Sir whatsoever. He doesn't hold back. He calls every woman a pussy. He'll constantly feel like he's being upstaged. He'll basically torture actors into saying lines. I mean, this guy really doesn't have any limits whatsoever. He doesn't treat his wife like his wife, doesn't even call her by her real name, which is really interesting. I just found so much interesting about the character of Sir overall, and the relationship between these two is really interesting because, again, you can tell that Norman clearly does understand, how degrading Sir's presence is, but he doesn't really let it get to him, at least not in his presence. You do see throughout the movie that Norman is drinking, things like that, but I really thought their chemistry was fantastic. There are so many scenes that are just these two together, and they really pulled it off perfectly, obviously. I am so surprised these two haven't done a movie before, but finally have done the movie together. I'm very happy about that, and I think both of them, without a doubt, definitely make this movie. I mean, obviously, you need these two. Without these two being so great, the movie wouldn't be as good, and I think both of them definitely made this movie as great as it was. So much of the movie is defined by Ian McKellen and Anthony Hopkins because there are two main characters that we are focusing on. But one performance I feel is going to get overlooked come, Emmy season and things like that, and someone that's not going to get a lot of praise is Emily Watson as her ladyship, and she definitely should not, because her performance in this movie is fantastic, because the entire movie she's just trying to, help out her husband and say, hey, I'm concerned about your health, and maybe you shouldn't be doing this anymore, and you need to address me in this way. She's not at all being rude to him, but you can really tell how passionate she is, and also, even though her husband is as, mean as he is, and as selfish as he is, and also as rude as he is, and really doesn't even treat her like like his wife, basically, constantly calls her ladyship, she still cares about him, and I love seeing that, and how she sees the good in him. I love seeing that about her character. I thought she did an incredible job in this, and for a while, it's just her and Ian McKellen. Sir does not come in until, I believe, 20 minutes into the movie, and I thought that was very well done the way they handled that. I really enjoyed that. Emily Watson was fantastic, and I think she was just as good as those two were. I mean, she's been performing pretty much as long as Sir. You can definitely tell. She's performing just as long as him, but she's also very much used to his outbursts and really does know how to handle him in a way that Norman doesn't, and I really loved her character. I thought she did a really great job, and she really was fantastic. I think just as good as Anthony Hopkins and Ian McKellen were, but I don't think it's going to get the credit that those two get come Emmy season. The other roles here are really good. They don't really have as much focus as those three characters, but they really are a main focus here. I think Vanessa Kirby was really good as well. She definitely did a very good job, but I think everyone here was really good. There's this one really hard scene to watch involving Vanessa Kirby and, Anthony Hopkins, and holy shit, just what he does to her in that scene, the way he's, kind of abusing her, and the way that he's mistreating her is just incredible. The way that Sir looks at women, I mean, it's really a hard scene to watch, definitely, but I really think everyone did a great job. I definitely really thought everyone was on point, and definitely that was something I really did enjoy. But I really do want to commend the directing and the screenplay here, because that's really the thing I think worked the best here. The directing remains very hopeless. The tone throughout this movie, it's not a hopeful tone. I mean, you can tell that things are going to go wrong. The movie starts, there's an air raid throughout the entire movie. I mean, you really don't know if this play is actually going to get done and if King Lear is actually going to be successful. And I love that the first hour of this movie is us wondering in anticipation, is King Lear actually going to turn out in the way that Sir has for 227 performances? I mean, there are times where he's forgetting lines or things like that, and I really think they did a great job of the directing. The tone was really great here. It's a very emotional tone, and I definitely really did like that. I thought that was really well done. And I definitely really did appreciate the tone, but the screenplay here is really interesting because, yes, it is based on the play, and much of this, obviously, I'm sure does come directly from the play, you can definitely tell, but I think they really did have, their own chances that they could to do their own thing, and I definitely think that they did that several times throughout this movie. You can definitely tell. A lot of this movie, though, is just Sir and the dresser together, those two talking, those two getting to know each other, and there are some really fantastic scenes. I think the first, there's about 20 to 40 minutes of just those two in this dressing room together, and it's really fantastic to watch, because here's the thing with Sir. While Sir is as mean as he is, you also really do care about him, and you want things to go well for him, because you see how much he cares about this, and his art form and things like that, and how he does look at Norman and things like that. It's really interesting to watch, because at once, sometimes you hate this guy, but then sometimes you love this guy, then you'll go right back to hating this guy, and I absolutely love that. And the whole movie we're wondering, why does Norman just get out of it? it? You know, why can't Norman just do something? And that's something I absolutely love, was the way the screenplay was done. The movie also focuses a lot on, you know, how far can you go and how far are you willing to go for this one man? You know, is there really limits? Can you get out of this sort of thing? Would you stand for this kind of treatment? And that's something the movie really does very well, where the whole movie, we're kind of just waiting for Norman to snap, because it feels like the whole movie we're just leading to something big, and it's definitely very interesting the way it's going. And also, of course, Sir's deteriorating health, that's a big part of this as well. You can tell throughout the movie, he's getting sicker and sicker, and he's not really getting better. He's kind of letting, you know, the acting bug kill him in many ways, and you know, in many ways, it's a good thing. And I know, obviously, that's kind of silly, but yeah, that really is what's going on. This acting bug, you know, his passion for acting, that's what kills him, and he loves it so much that he will let it kill him, and he'll, you know, substitute that over everything else in his life. That's what takes precedence. Nothing else, you know, really matters except for that, and I really did love that. Thought that was very interesting the way the screenplay was done. The cinematography here, there isn't really a lot to talk about, because the whole movie takes place inside the theater. It doesn't go anywhere else, and you really do feel a bit confined at times. You feel like, I kind of want to get out of here. I mean, the theater is great, but you kind of want to get out of there at times, because you're waiting for them to put on King Lear, and the way they kind of made it very thrilling by keeping you inside that theater, showing that this is Norman's whole life. He doesn't get to leave that theater, because Sir, you know, they get to leave, but Norman really doesn't get to leave. You know, he's the dresser. This is all he's known. You realize he doesn't have much of a life besides this, and it's really interesting. I think that was really cool the way they did that, and like I said, you really do feel trapped at times. You kind of do want to get out of there, and you don't really know if they're gonna let you get out of there. I mean, the whole movie, you don't know how that's gonna go. The King Lear scenes as well, I thought were very interesting, because you're kind of waiting for something to go wrong. You're wondering, is he gonna forget his lines, or is something bad gonna happen, or what does that air raid mean? And eventually, you realize why we're seeing all this and what that all means, and that's something I really did appreciate, because obviously we're seeing these things for a reason. But that was something I really did love, is what they ended up doing with the King Lear scenes. I thought were really good, and the way they kind of compare King Lear to Sir is really interesting. King Lear's, you know, kind of a greedy king, and Sir's kind of just as greedy, and in many ways you could think that, you know, that is what's made Sir so savage and so greedy and things like that. I think was really interesting. I really did love that, and the music in this I thought was fantastic as well. I really did love the score. It's a very sad, melancholy score as well, because again, this is not at all a happy film, and I'm glad they didn't try to make it a happy film. The trailer kind of makes this look like a comedy. It's not a comedy at all. This is a straight-up drama. There's really not a lot of laughs in this. There might be one or two, but they're very minimal. This is a very sad film, and I really did love that, but I really did get engrossed in this story and the idea of who Norman and Sir were, because that's a big part of this movie, is finding out who these two were, why they've been working together for so long, and why Norman hasn't left Sir all this time. I thought was really great, and the editing as well. This movie really flew by for me. I was into it the whole time. I don't think there was one scene that went by that I was not into. It was just, I really did get engrossed into this story, I gotta say, and I did feel like I was watching a stage play. Many people have said they've translated this into a television version. I really saw this as a movie done as a stage play. That's really what I saw. I mean, to me, it seemed like one of those great performances, things you see on PBS, where it's a stage play, but they translate it into, like, you know, a movie format. I thought was really cool, and that's really how I felt. I felt like I really was watching a stage play, because so many of these scenes are just two people talking, and that's something that I loved. I love that this movie didn't try to go big. It stayed very small, and it should stay very small, because it's a very confined movie and very claustrophobic at times. That's something I really did appreciate. But I really do want to talk about the ending here, because the ending for me was really shocking, and I really love the way the ending was done. I think there were some really incredible things about the ending, so I want to get into spoilers, because that's something that I really loved about the movie. If you guys haven't seen The Dresser, do not watch The Dresser's review. I'm going to spoil a big part of the movie, especially the ending, and I don't want you guys to find out how the movie ends. It's probably a bit predictable for some people, but for me, I didn't really think this was going to happen at all. Basically, at the end of the movie, Sir and Norman, you know, they're going over lines, and Sir, after his performance, you know, he just starts to feel a little tired, and, you know, Norman tells him to rest on the couch, and while they're talking everything, Sir just dies, and you can tell that a part of Norman has died. You know, he's starting to lose his sanity. He's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. He's calling out to, her ladyship, and finally, that is when it comes out. Norman finally in this scene, you know, he expresses his hatred for Sir and how he didn't think Sir was a good human being at all, and that he has nothing good to say about him. And it really does show that Norman has been holding this in all this time because he hasn't gotten to say this, because he's always felt so controlled by Sir, and Sir has always told him to do all this stuff that he hasn't really been able to say any of this to him. And finally he feels satisfied, like, okay, he's dead, I can finally say this. And it really is this fantastic scene, the way that her ladyship kicks him out. He doesn't leave, he decides to stay by Sir, and he says to Sir, you really were the only friend I ever had, because like I said, this is all that Norman's ever known. Yes, he finally gets to express his hatred, but this is all he ever knew. And Sir did treat him like a friend many times, and he really did feel close to Sir, and he even says that Sir was the only person he ever loved. And it's really sad when you get to the ending of it, because a part of him has died, and now he's got to move on. He's probably still going to be a dresser, but he's got to move on to someone else. And are they going to be like Sir, or is he going to have the connection he did with Sir? I think was very interesting, because obviously, the entire movie you're wondering, why is he defending him? Why is he thinking of him this way? Because I think he wanted to think of him as a friend. I think deep down he knew he wasn't really a friend to him, but he really saw him as the only friend in his life. You know, we know Sir's talking about all this great stuff. Norman can't really relate to it. It's very sad, but I thought it was a very good ending, very satisfying stuff. Ian McKellen really sold it in that last scene, where he's just, you know, on a drunken tirade, basically talking about all these things, because we know throughout the movie he's constantly drinking, and that's kind of his way of not letting Sir get him. But now that Sir has died, finally all that comes out. Her ladyship, you know, clearly he's not going to ever speak to her ladyship again, because her ladyship wanted nothing to do with him, but he is definitely going to continue, and we get that sense that he is going to continue. What he does, we don't really know. I think it was a perfect ending to the movie, and that's something I absolutely love, was the way that was done. But overall, guys, I really did love The Dresser overall. I thought it was a really great film. It's hard to watch at times, definitely, and definitely I think Sir is a complicated character. But overall, I really did enjoy The Dresser, and I'm definitely going to give The Dresser a 4.5 out of 5 or an A. The only reason I didn't go fully is because I heard they didn't really do anything new and that it was based off of original material, so that's the only reason I didn't give it a 5 out of 5. But other than that, guys, this is a flawless production. I totally recommend you guys see it. I mean, to me, this really does feel like a stage play done as a movie, and I really do appreciate that. This is exactly how you should do that sort of thing. I love the way this was done. Ian McKellen and Anthony Hopkins really acted this as well as they could, and like I said, some of these characters, they are hard to latch onto, but as you watch the movie, I think you'll enjoy it more and more. I think you'll really find yourself engrossed in the story. Even if you don't perform, I think it's still a very interesting story, because it's a story of being, you know, getting to be heard and not getting to have your voice known, and also being, you know, having this man or this person in your life that tells you that you have to give into their every demand, and, you know, why are you doing all this and things like that. I think it's a very interesting situation. I think it's something that we can all relate to, and definitely is something that I really recommend all of you check out, because I definitely think you will all really enjoy it. So overall, guys, in my review, The Dresser, let me know if you guys saw this movie, you have seen, left your thoughts on it, whether, and either way, if you've seen it on BBC or on Stars, just give it a watch, please. I really think it's something that a lot of you will enjoy. It's something, like I said, that I think will be really unexpected. I was expecting to really enjoy it, but not to the extent that I did. I was expecting it to be something fun, and it's really not. I mean, the way that Stars advertise it, it's not really something fun. It's really, actually hard to watch at points. It's really dramatic. It's really sad, and I'd also love to hear, did this movie change anything from the play? Because I'm not familiar with the play. I don't believe it did change much from the play. How does it hold up to the 1981? Because I know a lot of people said the 1981 is an incredible movie, and maybe I'll watch it further down the road, but for right now, I got my dose of Ian McKellen, Anthony Hopkins. It's what I came to see, and I left with even more than I wanted, and I'm definitely very happy about that. But overall, guys, if you guys saw this movie, have seen, love to hear your thoughts on it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which, guys, my next video will not be for Roots. If you guys are wondering, I am going to watch Roots, the first part, but I'm not going to review till Thursday, because that's when it ends. It's Thursday. It's a 4-night thing. I'm not going to review it till it ends, obviously, because it's a mini-series. You guys know that's how I do things. So if you guys are expecting me to review Roots, I'm not going to do that yet. I will review it Thursday. Obviously, I'm really excited to watch it. I've heard really amazing, well, not excited. I've heard really good things about it. I'm obviously not excited to watch it because it's going to be very disturbing, but I've heard really good things about it, and I definitely do want to check it out. My next review, though, will be for Bloodline. I know that I know that it's, you know, I know I'm being a bit slow with it. It's a slow show, so I'm being a bit slow with it. Also, guys, classic movie, a couple of things, guys. classic movies are returning. I don't want you guys to think the classic movies just went away. They definitely are returning. I'm not just, getting rid of them randomly. They are, in fact, returning. Classic movies are going to come back at some point. When that is, I don't know. Probably tomorrow, hopefully. I just haven't had the time to really do classic movies. I've been trying to catch up on 2016 movies, and I just haven't had time to do both. I'm also going to start binging some shows, and, so yeah, guys. Also, I'm gonna finish Lady Dynamite very soon, so I will see you guys for that. Let me know if you guys saw this movie again. I will see you guys next year, which will be for Bloodline, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.